we'll get started here. Normally up front, just like to cover a few administrative notes. First of all, welcome and thank you for joining. This is right now we're still calling it the the virtual social hour. We've gone through a couple different titles and different names, but the idea is that this is an opportunity to get together and share information with like-minded individuals. It's meant to help mostly those that are in the transition process or that are thinking about transitioning. But for those that are recently transitioned, it's equally valuable. And tonight's topic is really valuable to anybody, that has an entrepreneurial spirit or wants to think about, what are you going to do next? Some of us are in the, private sector working in government contracting. Some of us are in GS jobs. Some of us are completely private sector detached, but just love to support veterans like Joanne. Thanks for being on, but we all have a common theme that we love that veteran community. We want to help individuals find out what the next step is. So with that, we started this going through the process. Lou and I, we transitioned at the same time and we were like, hey, you know what? Like we were just talking to each other a lot, like said, hey, these conversations are valuable. We should open these up to other people. And then the crowd grew and we formalized it a little bit. So, we are where we are right now. And all that being said, the idea here is just share information. So, we've got Charmaine on, she's going to talk tonight and we'll be happy to share. But in order to share that information, we've taken a few steps. So one of the disclaimers is we are recording. We're using Read AI to record this, and it will be posted to our YouTube channel, to our LinkedIn page. So if you, are uncomfortable with that, just, please feel free to express that, whatever. But I just like to get it out there and make sure everybody knows that it's being recorded. The other thing that I want to make sure everybody knows that this is, I've got my IDP shirt on, my IDP background, but this is not about IDP. This isn't for recruiting. This isn't for business development. This is just where we get together and we share information, right? So there's a few IDP people on here, but there's other people on here. So individuals that have participated in these happy hours and these social hours have gone on to other companies, have gone on, some have come to IDP, some have gone other places, but that's not what it's about. It's not for us, it's for you. It's to help those in transition and to help build this network, right? I mean, we've got individuals that have been out for a long time. We've got individuals that have just gotten out. We've got individuals that aren't out yet and are deciding. So again, it's just kind of to help that community. So not for recruiting, not for business development. We are recording. And the last thing I want to say is we are taking steps. I'm not going to share too much and below kind of do too much forecasting, but we are taking steps to continue to improve this platform. So we're really grateful to have other partners like Charmaine and Faithfully Fit and Frugal and like Joanne, professionals in other industries that can help veterans in other ways, wellness, things like that, or share entrepreneurial stories. And as we build that professional network, we hope that the direction we're going is also going to make it as rewarding and beneficial for those that have professions that can help benefit the veterans. So, just pulling back the curtain a little bit, so far this has all been resourced and supported by IDP, but we're looking at, creating a separate entity in the future. Abigail has got the lead on that. She's, full steam ahead and she is knocking it out of the park. So all I can tell you all is there are big things to come. So appreciate that you've participated up to this point, and you don't want to miss what's coming next and what Abigail has in store for this at the turn of the calendar year. So that's kind of the disclaimers and intro. I always check with Drew. Did I miss anything or leave anything out, Drew?
No, and that was a really good teaser.
I think I should share more, let me know, but I'm too excited. So, and I don't want to take any more Charmaine's time. All right, Abigail, you got any comments or anything before we kick it over to our guest speaker for tonight?
No, except for I'm really excited about it. It's going to be amazing. I really hope that we can get a lot of involvement with the nonprofit. But yeah, I don't want to take any more of Charmaine's time. So.
All right. All right, so with that, I want to say thanks, Charmaine, for hopping on and sharing some information tonight. A lot of us on the call are familiar with you, and you've been on a few of these before, a fellow retired Marine, a fellow entrepreneur. So I'm going to let you give you a little bit of an introduction because you probably do a little bit better than I can. And several of us are familiar with you. But so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can give a quick intro and then hop into your topics for the evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I do know a couple people on the call. There's some that I don't know. So I'm a retired Marine, like Jim said, of 3408. So financial management by trade, but fitness is my passion. So because fitness is my passion, before I knew that, I was coming up on retirement, I was already kind of immersing myself into the fitness realm. And then it wasn't until pretty much during COVID that I decided to make it official by, starting my entrepreneurial journey. But I didn't go all in with my company until last year. So the first thing I want to talk about is you can only serve 2 masters. And I know my camera keeps going in and out. So as long as everyone can hear me, I think it'll be fine. So you can only serve 2 masters. So did active duty. I actually wrote my first training program while I was active duty. I didn't do anything with it. It just sat on my computer for about 6 years. And then I retired. I did Navy contracting for Sabres, that their Sabres cut over. My business was actually a side hustle, and then it became a hobby because you can't serve 2 masters. So I want to keep harping on that, because if you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to give it your full attention. It is a lot of work, just like the work you do is a lot of work. And especially if you have a family, there's only but so many hours in the day. But say you do want to become an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to figure out is, who do you want to serve, right? What do you want to do? Who do you want to serve? People always tell you to niche down, niche down, niche down, niche down. I didn't niche down too much, and it's working. And by that, I mean, I niche down to busy women over 40. It's not for single moms. It's not for stay-at-home moms. It's not for boss babes. It's not for the corporate woman. It's just busy women over 40. However, because I didn't niche down, I had to make myself stand out. You'll hear a lot, no matter what you want to do, that, oh, the market is oversaturated. Oh, Jim Pertel, you shouldn't start a consulting business. The market is oversaturated. Oh, Joanna, you shouldn't start a wellness company. The market is oversaturated. The market is never oversaturated because there's only one of you. So not only are you figuring out who you want to serve, you're figuring out what is your gift. Your gift is what's going to set you apart. Right? So when Jim started IDP, he had a gift. What sets him apart from all of the other consulting firms that does financial management? That's what sets him apart. Now, no one can tell you what sets you apart, right? Because you're you. So what you bring to the table, that's what sets you apart. So like for me, what I bring to the table, what sets me apart is, one, I'm a busy woman over 40. The fitness industry, really, when you think of the billions of dollars that are spent every year, they're spent for people in their 20s. I'm already set apart just by that alone. Then I leverage my Marine Corps experience. People love veterans. So I make all of the products and services, they work with the busy schedule instead of against it. I leverage the Marine Corps. When I learned in Marine Corps, right, we love our bluff. What's that bottom line up front? We like to make things efficient. So I make all of the products efficient. That further sets me apart. You see where I'm going with this, right? So I feel like, you get a coach or you get like a mentor or something. Sometimes they can overcomplicate things and they can make it seem like, oh, you didn't niche down far enough. If you can make it work, and if that's who you want to serve, you will figure out a way. You don't have to get down into the details. I didn't have to get down to excluding all other women and focusing on just this one small group over here, right? But that's what people will tell you to do. So after you figure out who you want to serve, and then using your gift, what sets you apart, you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Being an entrepreneur is extremely uncomfortable. You have to be able to just ebb and flow, right? That your day-to-day may change, it may not, but you should never get used to staying in your comfort zone. Once you become stagnant, then you're not going to see any growth in the company. If there's no growth in the company, there's no profit in the company either. So it's okay to stay the same for a couple months, but you should always be trying to figure out something fresh, right? Something new. Your comfort zone, it's a place to reset or refresh. It's not a place for you to set up your residence, right? So you don't live in your comfort zone. Another thing is get used to silence. So silence can come in, it can come in a lot of forms. It can come from family. It can come from friends that you thought were going to cheer from you. It's also going to come from being a solopreneur, because when you start out, unless you already, have investors or things like that, it's just you. So, we say entrepreneur, solopreneur, but that silence, it can be very loud. You have to get used to the silence, but silence is your friend, because the silence doesn't give you the dopamine hit that we're so used to in today's social media, right? When you get the likes, you get the loves, and you go girl, oh, look at you, bro. When you don't get that, then you start to feel discouraged, and then you don't want to do it anymore because you got that dopamine hit already. So use the silence as your friend to keep moving, to keep going. Everybody isn't going to cheer for you. Most people won't. It's not always that they don't support you. It's probably because they don't understand. Being an entrepreneur, it's a different kind of mindset, right? Just like being a Marine. Being a Marine or joining the armed forces in and of itself, that's a whole different kind of mindset. Everybody doesn't understand that. Everybody doesn't understand what it takes to be a spouse of someone who's on active duty. So it's the same rules apply with being an entrepreneur. So get used to the silence, but make the silence work for you. Dig down, dig deep, and then just keep moving. One of the things I wanted to make sure that I talked about was leverage your current network for your business network. So what I mean by that is, like, Zach, I know I literally just met you. I'm going to use you as an example here. So say you want to become an entrepreneur. Obviously, Jim. You just met me. You're going to meet other people on the call, right? Why not leverage who you already know to help you grow your business? So I reached out to Jim back in the spring. Jim and I know each other from the Marine Corps, but Jim got me in touch with Joanna. Joanna and I are always talking to each other. We're either on like a Zoom call, or we're on the phone, or we're texting. We're both in the health and wellness industry. We are always bouncing ideas off of each other. We're always brainstorming. We're always helping each other. We're just always leveraging each other's knowledge to help the other person out. So I reached out to Jim because Roxanne told me to. That's a whole nother story. But I still leverage my current network to help me in my business network. So why don't you do the same? We can all do the same. And that way we're not building from scratch, right? So maybe it'll take us 5 years instead of 10, but 5 years seems like a long time. But when you compare it to 10, it doesn't seem as long. It seems like the time just got cut in half. So yeah, leverage your current network to help in your business network. And also, I didn't do that until last year. I don't know why I did it, other than because I was just doing contracting again, because you can only serve with 2 masters. But once I started doing that, that turned into a, hey, did you hear about this? Another person, hey, look into this. Hey, look into this. You don't know what you don't know. And at least in the state of Virginia, there's a whole lot of hoops that you have to jump through on the legal side just to pretty much operate legally in the state of Virginia. There was some stuff that I was doing that I wasn't supposed to be doing because I didn't register for this over here and that over there, but I didn't know that. But legally, nobody cares that you didn't know. If someone were to ask the question and I would say, what are you talking about? I can't say my bad. I was not operating legally. So, but it goes back to leverage your current network to help you in your business network. And also, like with me and Joanna, this is a good example, I think. We have different gifts, right? So we're doing the same thing, just in a different way. And by that, I just want to point out, especially for those that are starting out, and Jim can tell you, the table is big enough for everybody. There is no, there's not enough room at the table, or make your own table. The table is big enough. You don't have to make your own table. The table is big enough. So again, I met Joanna through Jim. So there you go. And I love talking to her. I talk her ear off and she lets me, and it works out great. So now you got your business set up. What do? The first thing that I think you should do is leverage your free resources first. So a free resource can be a lead magnet. Think of it as like Jim just did a good teaser, right? Because I am in the back of my mind, I'm like, ooh, what's going to be coming down the pipeline? A free resource, your lead magnet, it's a teaser. It lets people get a feel for your product. It lets them know what they could be getting into. It also helps build trust. You have to build trust before people will ever buy from you. You have to build those connections, right? You have to give them that with them, that what's in it for me. You have to give them that, why do I need this product? So if you give them a free resource before they buy, they're more inclined to buy, especially in today's economy where we may not necessarily, we don't want to buy something blind from somebody that we just saw on social media. We want to know like, well, what is this about kind of thing. So give them that free resource. And a free resource can be something as have them subscribe to your newsletter. Have them subscribe to your blog, tell them to go read the blog. On the F3 blog, I put out every other week free recipes from like previous nutrition subscriptions. They're out there, they're free, but they give people an idea of what you will be getting, the kind of recipes you'll be getting that I talk about, but I'm showing that I can back it up, if that makes sense. So I'm not just saying, hey, you get dessert because I eat dessert. Well, I mean, she's into fitness, so I don't want a rice cake with some nut butter on it, and that's her idea of dessert. No, go to the website. There's brownies on it. There's like real brownies on there and things like that. So my point is, you have to give them something if you want to see that long term. And also like having the newsletter, having the blog, use Pinterest, focus on evergreen content over social media. By evergreen, I mean, so people think Pinterest is social media. It's actually a search engine just like Google. Your stuff is out there forever until you delete it. So you make your profile, you set it up as a business account so you can get analytics, and then you create your own pins, and then you link the pins, because you can put a link in there, back to your website. And that's how you drive traffic to your website. Driving traffic to your website moves you up in the Google search. Who goes past the second page? I mean, I'll go up to page 8, depending on what I'm looking at. Most people don't go past the first page though when they're searching for something. So having a blog, that's evergreen content. So again, create those pins, link it to your blog, people go to the website, drive you further up on Google. So when I went all into my business last summer, F3 didn't get a website until August of last year. So I waited until, like fall time frame. We were on page 28 on Google, right? I think the last time I looked was June. In June of this year, I looked again and we were on page 2. And all I put in was signature nutrition or like frugal nutrition program. And so from page 28 to page 2. So the only difference is I got a website, first of all, because I didn't have one, and I did evergreen content. So I put stuff on LinkedIn. I do put stuff on Facebook. I moved away from Instagram. But literally all I do is copy and paste what's on LinkedIn, and I just put it on Facebook. So, just to save time. I'm not saying don't use social media. I'm just saying unless you go viral, social media, it's kind of a waste of time, really, because social media is about entertainment, not about information. And I don't know if it's the Marine Corps, if it's the financial manager, I'm all about the information. So the people that I serve are the same type of people. They're about information over entertainment. So I'm not saying don't do social media. If that's your thing, by all means, dance away. It's just, I like to sing and dance. It doesn't mean I want to do it for the camera all the time. And I don't. So I moved away from social media and I just focus on evergreen content. And again, evergreen content, that's where the money is, because it's out there forever. And again, you can do other things with the blog. You can do other things with the newsletter. And when social media goes down, what do? Because you don't own Instagram, you don't own Facebook, you don't own whatever other social media that I don't have is out there. But you do own your newsletter community. And you do own your blog community, people that wait for you to post on that consistent schedule. Those are the people that are going to buy from you. People from social media, they really aren't going to buy from you. Again, in my opinion, it's more for entertainment. But the people that gave you their email to get that free resource from you, those are the people that are going to stick around, because people aren't just going to exchange their emails because you asked for it. They got something in return, and they got it because they were interested in what you had to say. I'm going to pause here to see if anyone has any questions so far.
I don't have any questions, just a couple of, things to share and common feedback. Like earlier on when you talked about, you got to niche down and listen to your mentors and things like that. I think it's a really good point, right? Because having a big mentor tree was important to me. Sounds like it was important to you, but you also have to have you have to have the willpower to understand, some mentors are going to tell you something different. Some are going to say, hey, that's a great idea, go for it. Don't. And then others are going to say, like you said, oh, the market's saturated. How are you going to distinguish yourself? But if you believe strong enough, right, that you can distinguish yourself, right? So it's the point I'm getting to is like, I like what you said, because it's a fine mix of like belief in yourself, but also listening to your mentors and listening. And, there's something in that, right? Because they in the past couple of years, there's been, 3, 4, 5 different companies that come out just like IDP. And before us, there were many, so it made us think, right? Like, yeah, the market is a little saturated, but if we're going to go at this, we have to distinguish ourselves, just like you said. So just, offering some comments from a different perspective, right? In a different market where you're in that fitness and wellness market, same thing applied to us. I really, your comments really resonated, because I kind of had the same thing as we were going through this. Drew helped me through it. Lou helped me through it. We're like, okay, guys, like, yeah, we are going to do this. Are we going to be Selkie 2.0, or are we going to be different, right? Like, what's going to make us separate from the other companies that are out there in that government space? Because, you walk into an office in the Pentagon, headquarters Marine Corps PNR, and you're like, hey, I'm a financial manager. I'm a retired Marine finance manager. Like, yeah, so are those other 12
Yes,
guys,
they're
right?
like, yeah, like everybody else. Right.
Yeah. So, and it's the same thing, right? If I'm Googling, well, you know what, I want to get in shape. I need a meal plan. I need a workout plan. Like you said, how do you go from page 28 to page 2? That's pretty impressive. So, lot of common ground there. And I like the idea. The point too is that like a lot of the principles and the concept you're discussing, it transcends industry, right? It's not about just because you're in the fitness industry and we're in the government industry. The concepts of entrepreneurship, that's across the board, right? And I know, so yeah, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your feedback, Jim. So along those lines, you have to get ready to fail forward, right? So that's like the good stuff. Here's like the not so pleasant feeling things. You're going to fail. It's inevitable. You have to fail forward though. And so I had my first failed launch last summer, and I so stepped outside of my comfort zone. I did a lot of things that I hadn't done before. I hired a social media manager. I paid for my first ad. I'll never do that again, but I did it because that was what I was advised to do. And I did my first IG live, and I did that for about 2 months just to, build that momentum for the advertisement and things like that. And nobody signed up. Like nobody signed up. But I couldn't believe that no one signed up. So on the day of, showtime, I still logged into the call because it was like oh, what if there was a glitch with the sign up sheet and I just can't see that there are people in the waiting room? And no. And then I did it again the next week and no one signed up. By that second week, I was so bummed. I really was. And for about 3 days, I was just down in the dumps, right? And I realized a lot of things. One, I realized that I needed to expand my entrepreneurial network because while I have like amazing friends and like Roxanne, she's on speed dial, she's not an entrepreneur. So I could talk to, my husband, or I could talk to my aunt, or I could talk to Roxanne, or I could talk to whoever about how disappointed I am. But there's that one little layer that they're not going to understand. And that's that entrepreneur side of that disappointment of I did all the right things and the analytics were through the roof. Why no one signed up? Because the analytics didn't match the outcome. So that was one thing I learned the hard way, which I've since rectified. The other thing that I learned the hard way, day 3 of me just being down in the dumps, that was like, okay, I got to put my big girl undies on and keep it moving. So I failed, but I failed and I became stagnant because I just took that second week, I took 3 days and I pretty much had a pity party for myself. Well, what happened with my business? Nothing, because I didn't want to open the computer because boo-hoo, I had to feel nauseous. So I learned in that moment on day 3 of, put my big girl undies on, go back to the drawing board and learn from this because something went wrong. You have to figure out, Charmaine, what went wrong so you can fix it moving forward. Now, I haven't had any other launches since then. So I know what went wrong. I just haven't gone back to the drawing board, but that's more of an up-tempo kind of thing. But my point is, like, you have to, that first failed launch, that's going to be the worst one, but they happen. It's just a part of life, right? How you teach your kids that, hey, life isn't fair. You're going to be disappointed. It's the same for entrepreneurship. So you're going to fail, but fail forward, meaning use that setback as an opportunity for a set up to do it right the next time. Another thing that I learned is in the last couple years is show up to add value, not to perform. And what I mean by that is, so when you first start out, like you're always excited, right? You should be excited. If you're not excited about talking about your products, nobody's going to be excited to buy from you because it's just the way psychology works. But if you're only showing up to perform, people instinctually will be repelled by you. They may not know why. It's just instinct, right? They may not know why. They may have to actually ponder on it. But if you show up to add value, we pay attention to the person in the room that makes the most sense. And it's not only the person in the room that makes the most sense, it's the person that makes the most sense and they appeal to us on some level. So they touch that emotion, right? For example, for most of the Marines on here, everyone's been in that Marine Corps school with the pick me guy in the classroom, right? They just, but what do? They repel you. Even when you see them walking on the catwalk, you just roll your eyes like, here they come. That's what I mean when I say show up to add value, not to perform. So whether, no matter where you are, whether you're in line at Starbucks, whether you're in, you're at the park, don't just talk about your business. Don't sell. Because when I first started out, that was me. You think you have to force the connection. Oh, everybody's a potential customer. No, you have to build the trust. You have to build that connection, and the trust comes after the connection. So like, I didn't reach out to Joanna until a couple days after the call that she hosted a few months ago. And once I did, it was like, okay, hey, like I did my research, right? So even though we were on the call, I wasn't like, hey girl, let's connect. It was, no, I did my research. I went on her website. I kind of like, I did some reviews. I wanted to see that we were compatible, and everything that I saw and everything that she talked about, which is funny because I didn't say it, Joanna, but during the call, I was like, yep, she's right. Yep, she's right. Yep. Oh, that was a good one. I didn't know about that. I'm taking notes. Everybody doesn't know everything. But my point is, I saw someone that was valuable. I saw someone that added value, that brought value. And because I saw someone that brought value, I felt a connection. It's the same way when you're building your community. People, where we instinctually want to connect with other people. So leverage that. Show up to add value. Once people see you as valuable, they're going to want to connect with you. You don't have to force it. They're going to want to reach out to you. They're going to want to send you, an email or ask someone how to get in contact with you. I may not be specifically interested in your services right now, but I may know someone who is, so I still need your contact information. So always add value. Always add value. Do not show up to perform. And along those same lines, you focus on serving vice selling. So by serving, I mean, you can serve, like I consider what I'm doing right now serving. I'm taking stuff that I've learned the hard way and hopefully passing it on to someone so they don't have to make the same painful mistakes that I made. And mistakes in entrepreneurship cost time. And like with my failed launch, they cost money too. So if I can help someone not do that, why not? So add value, but you serve vice sell. And again, once people feel that connection, they're going to want to get to know you. They're going to want to know more. They're going to want to, hear more about it, because again, I may not need your services right now, but say, 2 years from now, oh, this thing broke, this thing came up, and oh, I really need that help. And oh, what's that person's name? Then I start calling around. We all do it in life. We've all done it for one reason or another. So the same thing applies when it comes to entrepreneurship and whatever your specific company can provide to someone else. And last, but certainly not least, that I have on the list here is the day you sow is not the day that you reap. Everything takes time. Even most people that they seem like they're an overnight success, one of two things have or will happen. They are an overnight success and they're going to fizzle out like a firecracker. And a year from now, you're never going to hear about them again, and their company went under, or whatever. Or they've actually been in business for a while, and because of all of the things that they've done, that, everything that they sowed for years and years and years finally paid off. So they seem like they're an overnight success, but they really aren't. It's just their hard work is finally paying off. So we all want that instant gratification. Again, social media, right? We all want that instant gratification, but the day you sow, it is not going to be the day that you reap. And the only thing you can keep doing is getting used to the silence. You're a solopreneur. Got to keep going. Got to keep pushing out those newsletters. Got to keep, drafting the blog posts. You got to keep leveraging your network. You have to keep going out there and going to community events and introducing yourself and getting to know people and all of these things. And the funniest thing happened to me today because, well, I went to a meeting with our local county school system, and I don't know how I got invited. I was with the superintendent of the school systems, and he only invited, I thought it was going to be with the staff. No, it was with him. He had no staff. It was with him, and he only invited like a few businesses in the entire area. I got the email. I thought it was spam. I really did. I have no idea how I got invited. I still don't know. But I will be there 2 weeks from now because he has a follow-on meeting that I got invited to 2 weeks from now. So obviously something that I've been doing in the community for free has been paying off. I don't know what, but if I got on the superintendent's email invite list to talk about how to make the schools better and leverage the local community resources and companies to help the school out, well, obviously something's working, right? So I am out there attending school things. Like I said, I've done some public speaking things. I've done some seminars, all for free as a community partner. That's just you don't have to do it for free. It's free on my end because that's the agreement that our county has with their community partnership agreement. So that's why I'm doing it for free. But again, this was, I don't want to say exclusive. It didn't feel exclusive. The invite didn't go out to everyone. It went out to like select companies. I'm not sure why, but like I said, I must be doing something right. So that's that serving part. That's that connection part. That's that leveraging your uniqueness part, right? That has nothing to do with social media because I haven't been on social media. So that has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with niching down some more. You didn't niche down far enough. It has nothing to do with being the pick me person. And it's really about serving people. Again, people want to make that connection, and serving is a good way to do that. Getting yourself out there and join the community events, join events like this, because now I get to meet other people. So whether they become future clients or not, I'm still expanding my network, not only on the financial management side, but also if even one person on this call becomes a future entrepreneur and we make that connection, I also expanded it on the entrepreneur side. So that also ties into that piece I mentioned earlier about don't be afraid to leverage your current network to help out your business network. I know I said a lot. I sent Abigail and Drew just these kind of little topics before the call. There's also just a list of free resources that are out there for whether you're active duty, a veteran, or the spouse of an active duty or veteran. And then there's some resources that aren't free, but they are helpful. I would start off with the IVMF. That's through Syracuse University. I'm sure most people on this call know that Syracuse University has had that contract with the Marine Corps for years and years. Well, they have something, I don't know if it's a contract like what they have when you're active duty, but it's free. The only thing they asked for me, they asked for, like, you have to apply. They asked for, and you don't have to already be an entrepreneur. You can be, thinking of an entrepreneur. So they asked stuff like, how long's your business been? Have you started a business? Yes or no? How long has your business, been in business? How long's your business been in business? What's your website? Just things like that. It's really, really helpful. And I really love the fact that, so I did their Bunker Labs cohort. They don't have that anymore in the last couple months. They've consolidated some of their programs just to pretty much streamline the process, right? But what I really liked, it was 8 weeks long. You committed to 1 hour a week for 8 weeks. You were only required to attend 50% of that to get the credit, because I think I signed up for one at like 1,400. So 2 to 3. They have recordings each week. It was a different topic, different resource, things like that. And then once you considered an alumni, you successfully completed that 8 weeks. It just opened the door for more things all through Syracuse University. So I went to the Women in Entrepreneurship Bunker Labs. they have so many other ones. They have one, for men. They have one if you're Asian Pacific. They have one for Latinas. They have something for everyone. It's exactly the same program. It's just like they niche down, right? They niche down. But my point is, I still make connections with, men, with other people once I completed those 8 weeks. And like I said, you're only required to attend in person like that 50%. So four of the 8 for the 8-hour long call. So I personally advise that you start off with the IMVF. Like I said, they're all free. So if you're still active duty, I don't know what they would ask for if you're active duty. They just asked for a copy of my DD 214. And even in the directions, they tell you, black out your social, black out your address. They just really wanted to see my name, the date of my separation, and my rank. That was it. They just wanted to prove you're you. That's it. But it opens the door, like I said, for so many other resources. Not to mention a whole nother network of people that you could tap into. I think Drew said he'll send it out after the call. So that's all I got. Does anyone have any questions?
Go ahead, Abigail.
Hey, I just wanted to say everything that you have said has awoken this thing inside of me that has just really opened my eyes, because at least everything, but the social media part, because I don't know about, other people, but for me, I kind of feel I felt like before, if you're on social media, you're making more of an impact. And now I come to realize you don't need to be on social media to really, make an impact or kind of spread your information. So it's been pretty eye-opening for me. I mean, I've learned a lot.
Well, thank you. I will say I did not coin that. This is the funny thing. I learned that from some random woman's pin on Pinterest, that I saw her pin and I started reading her stuff. And I was like, oh, this resonates with me. Hello, connection. This resonates with me because I really didn't want to be on social media anyway. Hey, the only reason why I even have an Instagram or a Facebook page, Roxanne made it for me. I only post business stuff in there. I really am not a fan of social media. So, and it works for me, right? It's been working for me. But that's another reason why I use Pinterest. Another reason why I do use Pinterest, full disclosure, is last year when I hired the social media manager, when I went all in on my business and we were doing all the analytics every month, she suggested Pinterest. And as soon as we started, those analytics just ran circles around the analytics from Instagram and Facebook. And again, that's evergreen content, meaning it's another search engine like Google, and it stays out there forever. Social media, if your post doesn't gain traction in the first 24 hours, it's gone. Your stories only last 24 hours anyway. You did all that work for what? It's gone. So for me, it just took the burden off from me, right? I always felt a lot of pressure, and I felt like I was screaming into the void. And LinkedIn and Pinterest, those are way more my speed there. And again, at least with Pinterest, I can link everything, whether it's a free recipe, whether it's a video of a cooking video, a blog post, everything links back to my website. You want traffic going to your website, because the more traffic you get, the higher you go up on Google's search engine. But spread it out, because you really only need, I did this homework already for you. Well, I did it for myself, but I'm just letting you know so you don't have to figure it out. You really only need that burst of blog post, right? So I post the blog on Sundays, because I've been doing that since May of this year. So now the people that read the F3 blog, they know to expect something on Sunday. That lets Google know that your website, behind the scene and Google's own algorithm, that once a week, lets Google know that the website is active. And you want Google to know that your website's active, because if it goes too long of a period, I don't know what that is. If it goes too long of a period, then it starts dropping down, right, in the Google search engine. So I already did the research. I read it somewhere. I read it a couple places actually, and then I tried it for myself. Yeah, that 7-day spot seems to be the sweet spot as far as letting Google know, hey, this website's still active. Okay, it's another Sunday. Hey, the website's still active. And then on my LinkedIn post, and like I said, I literally copy and paste from LinkedIn and put it on Facebook. But so whether you're on LinkedIn or on Facebook, it still goes back to the F3 website. And the more traffic you have on the website, the higher you go up on Google, because again, most people don't search past the second page anyway. So you want to be at least on the second page.
Yeah, thanks, Charmaine, for sharing. And Abigail, I'm glad to hear that you were paying attention, that you got excited. There's a lot of this entrepreneurial information is going to apply to the project that we are undertaking together soon. So that we're in the process. So tied back to the little teaser at the beginning, and make sure you tune in for next month's session, because we'll unveil a little bit more about what Abigail and I are working on. But all of these entrepreneurial lessons that Charmaine shared, Abigail, are definitely you're going to have to be putting these into practice over the next couple months. So it's going to be fun to get this next thing up and running. So if anybody, is there any other questions? Otherwise, I got a couple of notes and questions of my own, just to kind of keep the conversation going. All right. So Charmaine, I really enjoyed the content, like Abigail said, and as a fellow entrepreneur, I really personally related to a lot of the things that you said. But what I want to do is take a minute too and recognize that there are some individuals on the call that are figuring that out, right? Like Joanna is a fellow entrepreneur, but there are some other individuals that are not sure what to do. Zach might be deciding, hey, do I go work for another company? Do I start my own thing? Drew works for IDP right now, but he's got an entrepreneurial spirit. We're looking at things together, right? So wherever you're at, though, some of the concepts and principles that Charmaine shared, like I said before, some of those principles transcend industry, right? It doesn't matter if you're a fitness entrepreneur or if you are a GovCon entrepreneur. Some of the character attributes that she focused on, that transcends whether you're an entrepreneur or you're just an employee, right? Because I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, I'm looking for employees that embody some of those values that she talked about, right? So the first one being service before self. You know, she said it a little bit different way, like focus on serving by selling is what she said. But I can tell you, when we look at IDP, we always say get the right people on the bus. We're looking at people that want to serve the greater purpose, not serve the bottom line, right? Like IDP exists to change lives and to give back to the warfighter and all that. So whatever your value is, whether you're a GS employee or you're a private sector employee, right? That whole sense of service is going to take you a long way, right? As an entrepreneur, it's an absolute necessity, right? You have to be serving a purpose that you believe in, but that is also applicable to anybody on this call, regardless of what your career path might be, right? So really a big fan of that. And I think a lot of us learned that as Marines, right? That whole like service before self mentality, you know, the unit, you know, the Marine Corps, God, Country Corps, all those things that we say, right? But I really appreciated that kind of idea and that character attribute. The other one that I really liked was you said show up to provide value, not to perform. You referred to the spring butts, the look at me, you know, candidates. Like that shows up very quickly, no matter what business you're in, right? And I can tell you, you know, at IDP, we've been fortunate. We always say get the right people on the bus. It goes back to that culture, things like that. But that is, you know, I really liked that because we talk about that too. And that's not just an individual identity, but for IDP, that's a company identity, right? We want to show up to provide value. You know, we're not there for job sustainment, and we say that. And again, this is not an IDP marketing call or a business development call, but it resonated with me because we have tried to impart that, and we look for people that carry those same values, Charmaine. So I really appreciated that, right? Like show up to make a difference, right? Don't worry about the evaluations. Don't worry about the bonus, because all that falls into place, right? If you're focused on the reward or the performance metric, you're going to lose that value. But if you just focus on the value, all that other stuff falls into place. And then the last one that I really picked up on was persistence. You know, you talked about failed launches, You talked about naysayers. You talked about people telling you like, oh, that might not be easy. Persistence applies to all of us. Whether you're a transitioning Marine applying for a GS job and everybody tells you don't apply because there's a hiring freeze, and you get through several rounds of not knowing if you're going to get that job or not, hey, you might end up in that dream job, right? Not talking to anybody specific on the call, but hey, persistence matters, right? You might end up where you want to end up. You might have people tell you, hey, don't take a risk. It's risky to start your own business. You could get a great job somewhere else, but you might end up 3 years later with a great business and a great team, right? Whatever the case might be, you might start your job search. You might send your resume out to countless companies, and the company you wanted to end up with doesn't have any openings, but you might end up with a really good job, right, Brandon? So persistence matters, and it gets you where you want to go. Even being a Marine, I always felt that way. Write your own destiny. People would say, oh, don't ask for that duty station. Don't apply to that school. Don't whatever. Like, don't listen to the naysayers. Be persistent. Write your own destiny, and go the road you want to go. So, Charmaine, I'm just sharing, a couple of things that resonated with me. Those three. And then I did say that was the last one, but I'm going to say one other one because I really like this. Don't be greedy. You said the table is big enough. I always say everyone can eat, right? I was happy when Andy Shinsky started his own company. I'm happy that Alex started his own company. I'm happy to see these other people coming into the same industry. And I'm like, how can we work together? Because we can all eat. Not competition. We say competimates. But when you get greedy, and even as an employee, not just starting a business, but even as an employee in there, if you're like, oh, this person's getting this right, like, come on, we're all growing together. We say that in IDP all the time. I'm glad that you and Joanna met and you guys are in the same industry and you're like, hey, we can help each other, right? Because the more hunters, the bigger the meal is, right? So everybody can eat, however you want to say it. I like that you said the table's big enough. But really it's that like, why you got to be selfish? Why do we got to compete? So we can be complementary instead of competitive. Lots of different ways to phrase it. But so to wrap it up a little bit, I just wanted to share a couple things. One more time, thank you, Charmaine, for coming on and sharing your experience a little bit, enlightening us with your entrepreneurial story. Abigail, thank you for coordinating all this, getting everybody together. I love the story about Joanna and Charmaine connecting. That's what this network is all about. And happy to have some new faces on tonight. Just continue to let people know if you enjoyed tonight's content, let people know that it's available. It's going to be in our YouTube channel. It's going to be in our LinkedIn channel. The Discord server is available all month long so that we can continue to chat. Reach out to me. I can connect you with Charmaine. If you've got more questions, reach out to anybody on the network. That's what this is about, is continuing the connection. And it's not just once a month. The connection is there all month long. Drew, did I miss anything? Or is there anything that we need to add in the closeout? All right. Abigail, do you have any closing comments?
I just want to thank Charmaine for coming on. I think that this session was extremely useful and it could benefit anyone. And yeah, that's it. I just want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Charmaine, did you have any parting comments?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me. I'm honored, and hopefully someone doesn't have to, even if it's just one pain point, hopefully I lessened that pain point for somebody.
Absolutely. I think you did. Again, thanks everyone for joining. Make sure, you spread the word. Let's try to get more people on next month. And next month, we're going to unveil a little bit more about what's coming at the turn of the calendar year. We're really excited about the steps we're going to take in the future with this. Get more like-minded individuals on here, both people that are in transition, individuals in transition, and individuals that can support and help them. So again, it's always great having everybody on here. The line will stay open. I'm going to drop off here, but use the network and communicate throughout the month. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.